Friends and family, I ask that you please rise. I present to you the Fuqua School of Business, Daytime MBA, and Accelerated MBA classes of 2024. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill Bolding, and it's my extraordinary privilege to be the Dean of the Fuqua School of Business. I realize that depending on where you are in the world, that we're facing difficult, dangerous, challenging times. But right here, right now, this is a day full of joy and celebration because of the people seated in front of me. Part of the joy is that these are the people who will deal with these difficult and challenging times and lead us to a better future. But there's also joy in terms of simply savoring what they've accomplished and celebrating what they've done to reach this milestone. And so I look forward to an incredible celebration as we move through this ceremony. Today, soon-to-be graduates, this day is about you. The spotlight is on you, and I congratulate you on reaching this remarkable milestone. Congratulations. But here's the thing, none of you would be here without the support of others that got you to this destination. And so I'm also deeply appreciative of all of the friends, family who are here today, those who can't be here today, who supported you on this journey. Please join me in celebrating all of you. And of course, I'd like to call attention to our faculty and staff who have supported you on this journey, pushed you, challenged you, helped you with a transformation that will be of value to you for the rest of your lives. So many thanks to all the faculty here and those who could not join us today. With that, I'd like to keep things moving along, and I would like to ask Stephen Ezekwe to step forward.
Class of 2024, please give it up for yourselves. Thank you. And thank you for the kind introduction to Dean Boulding. Thank you very much. And this past year, I had the honor of serving as the MBA Association class co-president alongside my incredible partner, Ari DeWest. Honestly, I can't say and I cannot believe that this chapter is coming to a close. I remember when we were meeting our section, getting to know our C-Lead mates, and forming our first friendships with the incredible members of our class. From day one to this very moment, we have gone through so much together. From engagements to weddings, births, holidays, vacations, we started companies, we started podcasts, we survived the core, we dealt with the pain of loss, we celebrated successes. We have truly done it all together over these past 2 years. And in my role, I had the privilege of witnessing the everyday miracles and the selfless acts that makes Team Fuqua a reality. Through my time here, I was able to hear the stories of a lot of my classmates, and tied into each and every one of those stories, I would hear about the people in their lives who are here in person or in spirit, that believed in them through the hardships and uncertainty, and how that support motivates them to continue to grow, to be better people and leaders. So as we begin this celebration of our individual accomplishments, please take a moment to express gratitude to the people wherever they are, and thank them for helping you and guiding you through this experience. At Fuqua, we discover our power and brilliance when we do big things together. We not only learn how to work in diverse teams to drive results, but we're also taught to see people as fully human, worthy of dignity and respect. Because at the end of the day, what we have in common is much greater than what divides us. I remember that sentiment rang true for me during fall term of my first year. I was at my lowest point. I felt alone, afraid, and overwhelmed. A dear friend of mine and a recent alum, Andrew Fisher, reached out to me and asked if he could take me out to lunch to lift my spirits. During that lunch, I told him that I don't belong here, and coming here was a mistake. He encouraged me to attend an event that we know, but for our guests, we call it Dinners of Consequence, a Fuqua tradition that brings together a randomly selected group of students with the goal of helping us form authentic connections outside of one's bubble. I signed up for a slot, and a week later, I was welcomed into a second-year classmate's home in which I've never met, and we broke bread with a room full of 9 perfect strangers, representing all various regions of the world. I remember how emotionally raw it was to hear the life stories of the people I passed along in the hallways or sat next to in lecture halls. Through their stories, I learned that despite their passion and talent, fear sometimes have prevented them from pursuing the things that truly matter to them, just like me. This surprised me. How can people who are so talented still live with doubt? Because I know deep down, if my peers do the things that matter to them and pursue their goals, it would all work out, and thus the world will be a better place. As we wrapped up the night, we made a promise to one another. The next time we ran into each other in the hallways, we would ask one another if we've started that big thing yet, or if we needed help getting started, how can they support? Or simply just check in to communicate a message if you're in a slump. And that's exactly what we did for the remainder of the year. And all of us took substantive progress towards our goals because we had that belief in one another. That transformational moment showed me that a group of strangers can turn into friends, and the relationships that we have made here have the potential to leave a lasting impact on ourselves and the world. And it can help us change how we view ourselves. And the good news is, although business school is only 2 years, we have the capacity to make what we've built here last forever. Class of 2024, as we close this journey, I want to leave you with 3 parting pieces of advice, given what I just mentioned about my experience here. First, as you deal with the ups and downs in life, remember your why and what brought you here to Fuqua in the first place. We didn't come here to take the easy route or to create a perfect life free of challenges that our world faces today. Instead, we came here to gain the knowledge, the confidence, and the network to face it head on. While it's true that sometimes, in the pursuit of happiness, it can feel as if our hearts are being repeatedly broken. But bell hooks once reminded us that being perfect is not living without fear, it's possessing the will to refine. Our fear of the unknown will never go away, but we should not let it immobilize us. Remember, imperfection is the rule, not the exception. Leave here knowing you will always have a supportive community, and we can always draw from our collective strength to make us feel whole when we fall into those moments of self-doubt, confusion, frustration, and fear. Second, it's okay to not have things figured out. We don't have to have a master plan. We just have to possess a belief in ourselves and the power of this community. We may never actually figure things out at all, actually. But that doesn't mean that life is not worth living or the big goals are not worth trying. So why not just try? Instead of being certain, why not just be patient? Sometimes we need failure to test our beliefs, and it makes the journey so much more sweeter when it comes to your individual promised land. And last and most importantly, do not forget about each other. Never forget about how much we needed each other in these last 2 years and what it meant to be here with the people sitting to the left and the right of you. I know that life gets busy, but still, pick up a phone, check in every now and then. Make real efforts to come back for reunions and Fuqua gatherings. Extend a helping hand when a fellow Fuquan is in need. Open doors, make connections, provide opportunities, volunteer, donate time, resources, and goodwill. Ensure we are making it possible to give others the amazing opportunity that we were able to receive here during our own journey. Continue to invest and support into all the things that makes this community beautiful, unique, and worthwhile. The universe brought us together by chance. Never forget that. And leverage this community's goodwill and fortune accordingly. I'll never forget what it meant to be right here, right now, with this group of people. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And congratulations to the class of 2024. This is a thing that we work for, and this is a privilege of a lifetime, and thank you for doing this journey with me. Thank you. And now, it's a pleasure and an honor to introduce my partner and co-president, Arya Vivse.
That's a very tough act to follow. Today is a bittersweet day for me. It marks the end of my 10-year educational journey here in the United States. A place that has nurtured my dreams, challenged my perspectives, and helped me become an authentic leader. In India, many students are often forced into predetermined careers. But my parents wanted more for me. They saw my education not just as a path to a degree. They wanted me to find an institution where my passions would steer my career, and my achievement would transcend my background, gender, nationality, or race. A place I could call a second home, one where people embraced me as one of their own. Fuqua has become that second home. Being elected as co-president alongside Stephen was a pivotal moment that truly realized this dream for me. When you elected us, not one, but 2 students of color, to represent over 900 of our peers, you didn't just honor us, you celebrated the diversity and unity that defines Team Fuqua. But Team Fuqua isn't something that automatically exists. It is patiently, deliberately, and meticulously created. As we stand here in Cameron Indoor Stadium, a bastion of Duke basketball history where countless games have been played and legends have been born, it serves as the perfect stage for me to introduce the players of our team, Team Fuqua. Just like point guards direct a basketball game, our staff and administration have expertly guided our Fuqua experience. Through weekly MBA meetings, orientation, Blue Devil weekends, C-Lead 2, they've fostered teamwork and camaraderie, shaping us into a high-functioning team. This semester, I had the privilege of serving on the Dean's Search Committee, which was just an incredible honor. And obviously only so slightly intimidating. Surrounded by some of our best faculty and staff, initially I felt like a rookie amongst seasoned players. I mean, what could I, a student who still gets lost on campus and regularly confuses microeconomics with macroeconomics, possibly add to this conversation? But our amazing director of admissions, Sherry, pushed me to share my candid perspective. She emphasized the importance of the student voice here at Fuqua. That experience, coupled with my time at the MBA, working closely with our administration and staff, has solidified a crucial truth. Fuqua's leadership understands that we, the students, are the lifeblood of this institution. They value our insights and actively let us shape Fuqua's future. These individuals are more than staff. They're mentors, motivators, and unsung heroes of the MBA experience. Fuqua's faculty have been instrumental in shaping our academic and personal growth, much like a coach crucial to the success of this team. Picture this. Week 2 of classes, I'm battling the flu and suddenly realize I've slept through the first econ quiz. Of course, I panic emailed my professor begging for a retake and reiterating how sorry I was. For those who know me, that was a lengthy email. That evening, I had 2 missed calls and a voice note from an unknown number. And to my surprise, it was Professor Pino, who personally reached out to reassure me to rest, prioritize my health, and not to worry. Turns out, Fuqua professors aren't just academic powerhouses. They're also masters at providing support when needed. Similarly, Professor John Graham's involvement in the Rise Against Hunger initiative goes beyond mere participation. He immerses himself in the logistical planning, gets his hands dirty, supports us wholeheartedly. His commitment exemplifies that faculty's role is not just educating. It's actively participating in the causes that are important to our class. These are just a few examples of how Fuqua's faculty, our team's coaches, consistently go above and beyond, proving that their dedication to our growth extends far beyond the classroom. The next players of our team are partners. You have been the centers of our team, anchoring us through thick and thin. Some moved to Durham, becoming honorary members of our sections and enriching our shared experience. Section 4, can you imagine any of Duke sports without Dennis? Can we imagine Blue Cup without Anna? Or handling glue without Sarah? Or daily Fuqua partners Instagram updates without Priscilla? For some of us, including myself, our partners have bridged the distance with late-night video calls, heartfelt texts, transforming long-distance challenges into enduring testaments of love. Whether catching the rebounds of our most challenging days, providing moral support during nerve-wracking recruitment seasons, or simply stepping aside to let us shine, they've secured the paint as we navigated the complexities of the MBA life. Equally pivotal as our centers to our team are our families. Their sacrifices, both financial and emotional, have supported us on this journey. As an international student, I am deeply moved by the courage of families who have sent their children across oceans and borders to be here today. Today, many of you are here in the crowd, having traveled great distances just to support us, and you being here means the world to us. To our family watching from afar, hi Pops, your presence is felt in every cheer and applause. We see you, we love you, and we feel your support. And finally, to the heart and soul of Team Fuqua, the class of 2024. You are our forwards, the driving force behind our collective success. Like forwards in basketball, you're versatile, adaptable, and always leading the charge. You have embraced challenges and driven initiatives that have made a real difference here at Fuqua. Class of 2024, your contributions are so extensive that if we tried to list every club's accomplishments, we'd be here a little longer than it took a certain neighboring school to admit that they lost Blue Cup. But here are a few highlights, just for the audience to get a taste of your impact. From this class, 47 Cole Fellows mentored over 350 first-year students to help them navigate their first year. The Association of Women in Business empowered over 400 women and drove more than 40 impactful events to advance gender equity. Our admissions fellows, a mighty team of 88, interviewed over 1,500 prospective students, meticulously shaping the future of our community. Clubs like the DMCC saw over 100 students volunteering to mentor and prepare first years for recruitment challenges. Fuqua Pride fostered inclusivity with the annual drag show and a coming out panel, creating a brave space for personal stories and community. And finally, Rise Against Hunger campaign rallied over 350 participants to pack a record-breaking 50,760 meals, proving that Fuqua's heart is as mighty as its mind. Class of 2024, these are just a few highlights of your incredible impact. Like true forwards on the court, you've rebounded from challenges, delivered clutch assists, and scored countless wins for Team Fuqua. I hope that so many of our peers across the country who are bravely speaking out against injustice and challenging the status quo, that you too will continue to fight for a world that embodies our shared values of equity, justice, and compassion. You, the class of 2024, are my team. And I might be a bit biased, but I think that this team is championship ready. But in this championship, our victories won't be measured by the games won or the titles held, but the profound impact that we make on the world. And to think that moving to Duke turned me into a basketball enthusiast despite never having watched a game before. My parents probably did not envision their daughter using basketball analogies in her graduation speech, but here we are, embracing the unexpected, just as we always have. As Coach K once said, making shots counts, but not as much as the people who make them. As we step beyond Duke's walls, remember, we're not just joining new teams, we're building teams. Carry the spirit of Team Fuqua with you. Embrace diverse voices, tackle challenges head on, and always play with integrity. In the moment now, my wonderful classmate and C-Lead member, Ashley Holland, our incredible graduation speaker, will be here. She will join us to share the story of our class. But before she does, I have one last thing to say. Class of 2024, this isn't graduation. It's a tip-off. The world is our court, and we've been training for this very moment. This is our game now, and so let's play it with heart. Let's go, Duke. Thank you.
Faculty, friends, and fellow graduates, I am honored to be speaking on behalf of the class of 2024. I actually cannot believe that it is 2024, because that means that we have been on this journey for 2 years. But it feels like it's been a long time since we were reflecting on what it was we wanted out of an MBA program and why that program would be Fuqua. As many of us recall, when we were applying to Fuqua, we wrote a 25 random things about me essay. I would like to share with you a random thing about myself that I wrote as my first point in my essay. On my 5th birthday, I found a frog on the street, and it was so hot outside that I decided I needed to bring it inside to cool off, in my freezer. Now, despite these empathetic intentions, I did what any 5-year-old would do. I got distracted, and I forgot about my freezer frog. Until I heard screaming from the kitchen. Now, when writing this point in my essay my goal was not for admissions to think, oh, she's such a forgetful person who likes to scare her parents, but rather show that empathy is important to me. That essay really allowed me to share bits and pieces of my authentic story and what made me the person who was ready for her MBA. From the very beginning, Fuqua has created an environment where we feel empowered to share our stories. And our story, as the class of 2024, is a story of authenticity, a story of authentically leading. Each of us came to Fuqua with different life experiences. We are a class comprised of over 50% international students from 54 different countries. We are a class that is over 48% women and 43% minorities. We are a class of incredibly different and unique individuals, but we are also one team that supports each other and learns from each other. We are a class that chose Fuqua for this one essential reason: the people, or as we like to call it, Team Fuqua. In case you don't know, the heart of Team Fuqua is the belief that a great team always beats a great individual, and that it takes the collective whole to inspire and enact real change. In our 2 years, we saw Team Fuqua in action over and over again. We saw it when students led our professional diversity and activity clubs, so that we had opportunities to learn and opportunities to have fun with each other. When students stepped up as fellows for COLE, CASE, careers, admissions, or SCCP. When students prepped for interviews together over and over again and were there for each other regardless of the outcome. When students taught accounting or statistics because it felt really impossible to balance it all. When students led and went on international quest trips to Brazil, Japan, Colombia, India, or Patagonia. When students stepped up because a friend was in a tough spot. Maybe they needed a ride to class. Maybe they needed somebody to watch their dog. Or when students supported each other during times of great loss. That we celebrated together during times of great joy. We chose Fuqua because we love the idea of Team Fuqua. But the idea of Team Fuqua was only real because we authentically embraced and supported one another. Being a team of authentic leaders has taught us many things, but there are 3 main ideas I want you to remember as we move across the globe into our many different careers. First, let people know what you're passionate about and stay curious about others' passions. Being authentic leaders means we embrace our passions to the fullest and we choose to share those passions with the world. It's like the saying, you are what you love. Sharing what you love has the unique opportunity to build communities and create opportunities for growth. Sharing our passions means we got to experience Blue Cup and the Fuqua Band and March Madness and so much more together. So whether it's playing sports or playing an instrument or being a bookworm, whatever it is, let the world know. Second, life can be awkward. Embrace it, help others through it, and move on. Now there's good news and there's bad news here. The bad news is that awkward is inevitable and it happens to all of us. The good news is that it is an opportunity to build humility and build resilience. And if you're lucky, you will have a very funny story to share one day. Third, look forward to the future, but remember to live in the moment. We are all goal-oriented, high-achieving individuals going to be in incredible cities with incredible people in these incredible careers. But I think that we should focus on this moment right now. Because in this moment, we are sitting next to some of our best friends who understand this wonderful, brilliant journey that we have all been on together. And it's not gonna last. So take the time to just be. Be with your friends and be with your family and celebrate your success of graduating with your MBA today. As I said earlier, our story, the class of 2024, is a story of being authentic. As you reflect on your own personal story of authentic leadership during your time at Fuqua, I want you to consider that old essay you wrote when you applied to this program, your 25 Random Things About Me essay. I imagine you're going to have to make some room for some new things about yourself from your time at Fuqua with the people you are sitting next to today. Did you discover a new hobby or passion? Did you pivot your career or travel new places? Or perhaps you learned how to ride a mechanical bull. For me, I know I would add this moment to my list, being with all of my peers and feeling a sense of bittersweet joy. So I reflected on the time that I got to spend with a group of remarkable individuals that made an even more remarkable team. So good luck and congratulations, class of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, Aria, Ashley, for your wonderfully insightful remarks. And if you'd like, you can now join your classmates. While they're transitioning to their seats, I'd like to call attention to an event that happened earlier in the week, which was recognition of our faculty award winners. So in the category of outstanding teaching in the core, Pino Lapomo was awarded the prize for teaching excellence. And the award for teaching innovation and excellence in an elective class goes to John Graham. Just coincidence, right, that they were both mentioned in those speeches. So, but thank you to all of our faculty, but special congratulations to Pino and John. So now I have the great pleasure of introducing our commencement speaker. And when we choose a commencement speaker, we're looking for someone who really is a rare find. Because the first thing is that we want someone who has incredible accomplishment. We want to put someone in front of you where you can see that's something I would like to be able to accomplish in my career someday. And so when you look at our speaker, Ajay Banga, he is someone with incredible accomplishment. He's had a long, successful career in lots of different sectors going way back, but more recently as President, CEO, Executive Chairman of MasterCard, where he brought MasterCard to new heights. And more recently, to become the President of the World Bank, where his task is quite simple. According to Ajay, my job is to care about poor people and development and climate and try to keep politics away and find areas of common interests. Good luck with the politics part. So he is someone of incredible significance in the business world in terms of what he's been able to do and what he's working on now. In that process, he's accumulated enormous wisdom, and that's the next thing. We want someone who can share the benefits of their experiences, their wisdom with all of you. And I have to tell you that, in my view, Ajay is simply the wisest business leader I've ever met. And he has an incredible ability to deal with the urgency of what needs to happen right now, with the long-term investment that has to happen for a sustainable world and to protect people who don't have a voice in what happens now. And so he is someone who is just extraordinary in terms of his wisdom. And I can tell you, in the past year, I gave talks at both MasterCard and the World Bank, and the people there love him and respect him and see him as someone who is incredibly wise. The next thing is, no matter how much you've accomplished, how good you are, how wise you are, we want someone who does things the right way, who embodies the values of Team Fuqua. And with Ajay, I can't think of anyone who fits that model better. He absolutely believes 100% in the idea that business can be and should be a force for good in the world. He believes that a great team will beat a great individual. And he believes and embodies this triple threat capability of IQ, EQ, and DQ. I've never seen anyone so far off the charts in all three of those dimensions. And then finally, we want a speaker who is connected to Duke in some way. And with Ajay, I don't think there's anyone who is more profoundly connected to who we are and has had more impact on who we are and what we stand for. Because it was a number of years ago that Ajay was a part of our community for a distinguished speaker talk. And that's the first time I heard this idea of a decency quotient. That was Ajay who came up with that notion. And so if you think about how important decency is in our community and how foundational that is to who we are and what we stand for, Ajay is the foundation of our foundation. Ajay, could you please come forward?
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. And Dean Boulding, thank you for inviting me to address the 2024 Duke University Fuqua School of Graduates. I some years ago was in your shoes, quite a few years ago, with my dear wife, and it's the most special thing in the world. So I'm delighted to be here with you and celebrate you along with faculty, loved ones, friends, all those who made it possible for you to be who you are today. And so to you all, congratulations. You've got the great ride coming ahead of you. Enjoy today, but enjoy your future. And you will enjoy not only the presence of each other, but you will enjoy the networks, the friends, as your speaker spoke about. So I'm very excited to be here with you. You're about to hold in your hands not just an MBA, but a testament to your resilience and your ambition, and your unwavering belief in the power of each of you to make a difference. For many of you, this degree is a boost to a career that's already on the move. For others, it signals a change in direction. For yet others, it's the beginning of a journey. And in this moment, you should be painting a picture of your future in bold strokes, right? Speak of billion-dollar deals, world-altering innovation, sweeping impact. But, and I want you to pause for a moment, because among all those grand visions, something crucial often gets overlooked, and that is luck. In life, professionally and personally, I subscribe to a very fundamental belief that life is half luck, determined by being who you are, when you are, where you are, but the other half is what you do with the hand you're dealt when opportunity comes your way. And the question really is, do you have the courage to grab those opportunities when they show up? Do you have the courage to take a risk and run with it? In 1979, as I said, I met my wife because we sat in a business school class together. It could, never have, that's pure luck, right? Who could have determined that we would be sitting one behind the other in a business school class? 45 years later, I'm not sure she thinks that this is good luck, but she's kind of stuck with me and I'm stuck with her. And what we did with our luck, we pursued each other, we built a life together, and I think that's what set us off on a magic carpet ride. Together, we've pursued our luck and many opportunities. Opportunities in different cities, in different countries. Opportunities in different companies. And now, an opportunity to confront poverty and inequality and secure a more livable planet for my grandchildren and yours. I didn't see any of this coming. This is not what I thought when I was sitting in my graduation in IIM Ahmedabad. That is the other side of luck, by the way, the pursuit. So if you don't adhere too strictly to a meticulous plan, I think it deprives your career and your life of the opportunity to seize and pursue luck. Also, by the way, such devotion denies 2,500 years of philosophical doctrine, and that is that the only constant is change. In 5 years' time, the organization you join will look completely different from what it looks today. Organization structure will have changed twice. The job you wanted will have evolved. A new boss will have come and gone, and another one would have come and probably gone. Efficiencies would have been gained with technology. Maybe the company you joined acquired a new line of business. Maybe they missed a whole wave, or they experienced explosive growth, whatever, who knows. But when you leave here, don't spend your time plotting your career as a series of steps up the ladder. Your career, more importantly your life, must be much more than a succession of tests to overcome or steps to climb. Be open to taking the plunge, taking the risk, bet on yourself. Each of us has only one life. It's one very precious life. Each of us will enjoy successes. We will endure setbacks. We will have loved, we will have lost. We will climb and we will fall. No one is immune to variations of life any more than we are exempt to the fluctuations of business. All we can do, take it in stride and live it to the max. So that is my first message. Love your luck and learn how to seize it. Second, when the big opportunity does fall from the sky and you do grab it, how do you plan to leave your mark? How will you lead? And in my view, there are 4 traits that all good leaders share. And the first one is urgency. They listen very carefully. They gather knowledge from others who know more than them. That sense of humility that you don't know everything is, by the way, a real friend of yours in your journey. But then they act with a sense of urgency. You will never have perfect information, so you must be comfortable with thoughtful risk-taking. In your career, you're going to come across lots of people who are incented to tell you, no, you can't do this. What you need are more of the yes, if you do it this way, people. You yourself need to be a solution-oriented, yes, if you do it this way person. That's the talent and skill that really takes you far as a leader. Essentially, all this adds up to done is better than perfect. Second, curiosity. All these leaders are always curious. They have a deep desire to understand the world around them. But they focus that curiosity on the right questions and seek out new information to help them make better decisions. In other words, question everything, always. Third, competitiveness. They are competitive. They're driven to succeed, but they also want to see others succeed. It is an insatiable desire to be innovative and finish first, but to finish with their team, as your speaker said. It's only lonely at the top if you are alone. And finally, simplicity. They keep it simple, and I will tell you this is the hardest thing to do in an increasingly complex world. Cutting through the noise to find the things that really matter and bring them to the front. They recognize that simplicity is a unifying force. It allows everyone to be on the same page, to understand, to move forward together, and to drive success together, to own this together. And what unlocks these 4 traits is balance. The ability to successfully navigate inherent conflicts, patient listening, but purposeful urgency, clear direction, but persistent curiosity, shared success, but personal competitiveness, and the power of elegant simplicity in a very complex world. So now on to my third topic. Achieving great things does not require us to swing for the fence with every pitch or, in this stadium, to hit three-pointers each time. There is transformative power in small wins, in sweating the detail. The impressive achievement you will soon be holding in your hands isn't the product of passing one exam or nailing a single presentation. That moment has arrived as the result of 1,000 tiny victories for each of you. And that's the power of small wins. They are the stepping stones on the path of giant ambitions and lasting change. So let me give you the example of my life right now. The World Bank is an 80-year-old institution that we are working to modernize and change and make it ready for the next 50 years. It's filled with exceptional economists and some of the brightest development, water, climate, gender, health experts in the world. Many have been there long enough to see presidents like me come and go, to see promises made and a few kept. Their passion has given way to cynicism. They walk by rusty benches and crooked paintings around the office for so many years that this eroded their faith in the place or their feeling of ownership in the institution. But even there, a spark does remain. So do those crooked paintings or rusted benches, do they slow our work to arrest climate change or diminish poverty? Maybe not directly, but I believe they're much more meaningful than meets the eye. So the thing to do as a leader is take an action. Level that picture, get that bench painted, and the spark gets lit. The next week, fix a small pain point. Give someone credit for a win. Ears begin to perk up. In a month, streamline a process, make something a little bit easier for everyone. Staff start walking just a little bit taller. And a few whatever's down the road, refresh the mission to be more ambitious. And now people begin to see change. They feel the change. Most importantly, they believe that change is possible and they will make it happen. Bit by bit, motivation and optimism begin to catch. They're infectious. You're recruiting your people to join you. And before long, while you're still driving change, you're announcing big plans like we just did to bring electricity to 300 million Africans who currently have none, or extend healthcare to 1.5 billion people throughout the developing world in the coming 6 years. And to think, for all of us at the World Bank, it all started with a rusty bench and a crooked picture. So as you embark on your careers, please don't underestimate the power of these small victories. Celebrate them, no matter how insignificant they might seem at that time. Every step forward, every challenge overcome is a testament to your resilience, your determination. These small wins build momentum. They will fuel your confidence for the bigger challenges that you will no doubt face and take on. And finally, the fourth point. Leadership is not just about achieving results or overcoming big challenges. That's important. More important is how you achieve them. When I was young, and this is where Dean Boulding was talking about this, what mattered was IQ, your intelligence quotient. We were told leaders have to be smart, and the smarter they were, the further they would go. But by the time Ritu and I reached business school, the idea of EQ started to come up, the emotional quotient, how well you deal with ambiguity, how well you deal with difficult circumstances, difficult bosses. And if you could work through these things with grace, you were thought of as a superior leader, and that would take your career forward. But over time, what I learned was that IQ and EQ were just not enough. Leadership desperately required decency, or DQ, the decency quotient. What's interesting is that decency transforms leadership. It allows you to not only act quickly, but make wise decisions. To be curious, but also purposeful. And to be competitive, but also understand the needs of others. Decency isn't about being nice. It's about being the fair person. Treat people with fairness, with transparency, with respect. It's about speaking truth to power, even when it's difficult. It's about giving feedback with clarity and empathy and learning from those around you. It's about creating a culture where everybody feels valued, heard, and most importantly, empowered to contribute their best, because that's when you will win. Leading with decency isn't just the right thing to do, it's also the smart thing to do. It'll foster trust, it'll foster collaboration, it will definitely foster innovation. It attracts, it retains excellent talent. It creates a work environment where people thrive, where they believe that they can reach their full potential. It is being a hand on their back, pushing them forward, not a hand in their face, holding them back. I know you're eager to conquer the world and make your mark. Remember, it all starts with a little luck and the courage to pursue it. Urgency, curiosity, competitiveness, simplicity, and the balance. These are traits of leadership that I hope will walk alongside you. And finally, lead with decency, and you will have a rewarding career, but far, far more importantly, a rewarding and fulfilling life. As you step out into the world, remember to embrace those small victories, celebrate your progress. Remember that even seemingly insignificant actions can have a profound impact around you. Make the most of your own magic carpet ride. Good luck and God bless. Thank you.
Ajay, thank you so much for your wisdom, your insight, and more than anything, being a role model for our students to show that decency is, in fact, a path to greatness. Thank you so much, and I have a gift for you.
Oh, there we go. All right. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. I gotta go. Let's see you then. Give it back. Thank you. Hey, guys.
I'd now like to transition to the recognition of graduates. And so if Steve Misuraca could step forward.
So first, it gives me great pleasure to recognize the Fuqua Scholars for the Daytime and AMBA class of 2024. Fuqua Scholars are those students whose cumulative grade point average places them in the top 10% of the graduating class. We acknowledge this distinction in your program. Fuqua Scholars, please stand up. It also gives me great joy to recognize the incredible group of second-year award winners who we recognize this Thursday during a memorable finale in Janine Auditorium. We've also designated these award winners in your program. Second-year award winners, please stand up. So now is the time we've all been waiting for to individually recognize our graduates. Bill, would you please step forward to congratulate these amazing students? And now I'll ask Angus Bowers to please come forward and read the names of our graduating MBA students.
Alexandra Abbott. Peter Walsh Asmuth Jr. Jesse Aguilar. Francisco Aguirre. Joseph Arreguin. Amelia Atencio. Feruza Avezova. Javier Andrés Casado Cosero. Joyce Akambi. Paul Aramanda. Margot Budline. Stephen Chinedu Ezekoye. Arya Divse. Ashley Holland. Hillary Shea Badger. Rachel Erin Brown. Allison Elizabeth Bergman. Alyssa Barnea. Mansi Baga. Benazir Bayakmatova. Lauren Bartels. Guillermo Guimares Azevedo. David Abraham Burko. Chayami Putacharon Lap. Helen Lawton Birdsong. Guillermo Jose Alvarez. Vanessa Solar Sano. Daniela Bensakin. Rafaela Calda. Stefano Boccoleri. Pardon. Antonio Cespedes Espejo. Loita Rani Chamarti. Bruno Carvalho Guerra de Abreu. Falguni Agraval. Pratana Chacharon Pon. Monica Shashiraj Daka. Dylan Lee Birdsall. Kevin Stefek Bill. Lauren Camille Boone. Gabriela Nanette Casado Cosero. Stephanie Leah Blair. Kevin Chun. Young Bai. Connor Lee Byrne. Aiden Babbage. Mackenzie Taylor Aldino. Julia Bolter. Addison Carr. Austin Taylor Brandt. Adorian Bradley. Anthony Bushara. Kendra Jolie Brown. Janice Cater. Danielle De Barros. Hannah Lien Chai. Maria Stephanie Castrillon Perez. Ramon Chavez. Paris Agrawal. Daval Agrawal. Kirtana Balusu. Akshay Bhala. Aaron Louis Chara. Darian Ugly. Ogolis. Udevir Singh Chima. Somya Suyum Bagade. Paul Leon Champeau. Zenon Alain. Clifford Andrews. Kweku Apre Amoako. Ernie Izumwo. Thomas Chung. Chukuma Chime. Perpetua Anaga. Ese Omorle Atapo. Fiorella Gaudi Diaz Murga. Giancarlo Mariana Ortiz Chavez. Chun Bum Chun. Luis Attilio Fierro III. Albert Bernard Corva. Enkulan Engbold. Kunj Chehedea.
Doesn't want to say the last name.
Okay, just listen. Diego Javier Echeverria. Maximiliano Errázuriz. Varun Chintalapati. Micaela Elias. Janice Freund. Rodrigo Muñoz Drinot. Sara María de los Ríos Moncayo. Juan Luis Shu. Yuval Dekel. Nathaniel Einfeld. Priyanka Ravi Deve. Ana Sarai Elizondo Arrieta. Amanda Jill Feldman. Haley Goldberg Bloom. Aline dos Santos Aires. Natalia Fernandez de Castro. Hee Woon Choi. Giovanna Shinen. Renata Junqueira Santos. Alexander Dobrinov. Stefano Ferri. David Kioma. Hannah Dykman. Ashley Dorfstatter. Elise Danielle Dumas. Nolan Delera. Annie Forrest. Axel Francon. Adriana Freinreixa. Connor Cook. Sarah Brittany Gilman. Jared Andrew Gilman. Joshua Goldstein. Varun Doval. Alexander James Gabe. Francisco Fierro Celis. Harrison Gibbs Green. Chadwick John Cohen. Vasilia Christaki. Catherine Kearney Ferguson. Megan Gray. Paula Fernanda Gonzalez Salinas. Alexis Clifford. Maxwell Richard Feldman. Jennifer Tsui. Benjamin McAllister Egan. Henry Dreyer. Tom Flippin. Gary Williams. Julia Melville Glauber. Emily Elizabeth Durden. Raven Greenberg. Kandasi Kulis Griffiths. Vaughn Douglas. Temitope Dawodu. Patrick Michael Douglas. John Edward Grimesy. Christopher Paul Christensen. Anya Carolina Guatiponza Tamayo. Ajay Kumar Guarazada. Yash Raj Kumar Jain. Blanca Barbara Kelly Gastambide. Amo Kumar. Samir Jaffrey. Duncan Gwynn. Kiana Hainsworth. Shivani Kukreja. Archit Gupta. Jenna Houchins. Gursimran Kaur. Durina Lee. Ina Jane. Ayushi Jain. Ayushi Jain. Ji Yong Kang. Teresa Huckleberry. Jessie Rachel Heller. Tracy Marie Hendrick. Ali Hetzel. Pratik Jagadish Holla. Lu Han Zhao. Kendon Hulick. Byron Colby Martin Hutchison. Colleen Hickey. Madeline Johnson. William Todd Jacobs. Eric Mark Yager. Raymond Joseph Kosak III. Ziyuan Lao. Aaron Curtin. Brianne Leakey. Hannah Kirkabane. Ludwig Kondopoulou. Veronica Fionn Ho. Saki Kudo. Gang So Lee. Eontag Huang. Felipe Guevara Agüero. Christian Leva Crossley. Aneta Labus. Maria Alejandra Morales Loaiza. Aldo Oyadomari Kasani. John Mason Harris. Jordan Krasner. Karan Kuharana. Sophie Elizabeth Jacobs. Elizabeth Jaber. Alessandro Lenzetti. Colson Mack Hebel. Ian Jude Howard. Okay. Austin Drake Holland. Ronan James Hunt.
He just wants Matt and then Perry.
Matt Perry, that's all?
Matt Perry.
Okay. Matt Perry Hobby. Ayana Jameson. Laurie Joelle Chantel Johnson. Sharmila Jyoti Maharmandra. Rutuja Joshi. Deepika Kaza. Pranav Dutatre Kulkarni. Sai Charan Kuncham. Hyonchan Jeong. Binuk Joseph Viren Kodituwaku. Zoe Elena Keski. Tanner Hensey. Gregory Ethan Levine. Theodore Robert Larson. Ming Lee. Shui Bang Lee. Julia Jufei Leo. Tan Tuong Mai. Carolina Lin Yang. Luca Grossman Montalbano. Jackson Wyatt Lockard. Myra Maikon Nguyen. Reva Mohotra. Harsh Dinesh Chandra Parik. Tanvi Ninad Lola. Padmini Muralidhar. Ricardo Stanley Prophet. Nicholas Christian Mather. Kathleen Kavanaugh Merlini. Ronnie Hadas Neumann Orr. Irina L. Ochinnikov. Lynn Coralie Yavi Garcia. Audrey Lopez Bolivar. Rosa Isabel Mecklenburg Tenorio. Kunchun Nebwani. Monica Palambindella. Ashley Petch. Noel Paulo Oayares Paz. Regina Palutini. Arnaldo Mateos Olivieri. Charles Macklin Mueller. Monica Claire Macheca. Kate Perry. Sean Nash. Richard Homer Nicolaides III. Ashwin Punt. Zaki Makarim. Afra Muzain. Jose Andres Manuel Nostas. Louis Linden. Caitlin Mason. Elizabeth Priori. Duo Ma. Jack Orzikulov. Kendall Taylor Lorenzen. Agyung Moon. Crisel Adefuin Murakami. Julia Yoon Leo. Petya Miteva. Akash Patel. Tarika Nurain. Sean Thomas Perkins. Laura Patel. Rabin Putmanathan. Kehinde Atintenu Majulobi. Patrick Pepra. Stephen Andrew McCarthy. Queen Wokonea. Christopher Ifeolua Omiwade. CJ Obikele. Anthony Osei. Olainka Oseni. Mofeoloa Oyekun. Adanike Ordejayi. Jada Murray. Tom Parkinson. Robert Adams Newman. Alfonso Panton. Karam Mukin. Sarah Sage Peters. Wilson Powell. Jillian Putnam. Beset Peneda. Anandi Raman. Prahanja Singla. Ishan Singh. Hermene Kildo Santiago. Kwe Ming Pham. Brenda Pizarro. Joshua Poblano. Kareem Ragab. Maximo Richard. Larissa Sales de Andrade. Amanda Shamirian. Felipe Albuquerque Maya Silva. Benjamin Schick. Elgar Perez Richards. Neve Ron. Paul Sciano. Nathan Schwartzbauer. Zachary Vincent Rousseau. Richard Spranoga. Humbert Polito. Michael Robert Shore. Kevin Shu. Wen Zhang Shang. Nikhil Srikumar. Nicholas Sarkis. Haley Ryan. Preston Dean Rose. Michelle Elizabeth Seals. Mary Alice Stevens. Tatiana Sokolova. Juan Pablo Quintero. Milos Miljanic. Brontavious Allen Rayleigh. Yoshi Shi. Fei Xie. Diego Romero Gonzalez. Gabrielle Mercedes Rogers. Akul Sayal. Clara Maria Rigaud. Eduardo Salomon. Joyce Yena Shin. Brandon Shrake. Miles Schreck. Hoot Som. Joshua Thomas Rodriguez. Lydia Elaine Roth. Reed Service. Vijay Krishna Sungaraju. Mohit Ravindra. Anshula Shankar. Spencer Garnett Straub. Ritika Rao. Benjamin Dean Schultz. John Breckenridge Spencer. Sami Rajput. Ria Singh. Thomas Henry Reed Shannon. Sherry Janine Satterfield. Michael Stevenson. Maxwell Dean Sumner. Joseph Frederick Stillman IV. Avi Strickert. Derek Warren Swanson.
This one's the second
Just up there.
up here.
Okay. Giriraj Singh Malhotra. Barbara Rose Nave. Eli Tabasinik. Arita Tao. Mimi Tepakrapong. Lindsay Warrington Thompson, excuse me. Mikhail Vatinko. Robertino Tucci. Wan Qing. Iris Xiaohan Zhou. Michael Welch. Brian Wong. Vikas. Shreya Vadera. Sarah Grace Tucker. Trevor Bernard Campbell Tuplin. Megan Lynn Wilson. Margaret Wedham. Stephanie Tierney. Tom Tagliaferro. Kaylin Walsh. Haley Eve Tartell. Larry Joel. Jijun Yu. Bhavna Tripathi. Johnny Yin. Jie Yu. Julie Maria Thumby. Tara Dawn Thomason. Kayla Nicole Thompson. Eduardo de Freitas Teixeira. Jalal Asaf Barag. Alejandro Weissman. Mayank Tosiani. Eric W. Wallace. Jonathan Van Dongen. Ryan Van Slyke. David Raymond Wolinski Jr. Stephen Wagner. Charles Alfred Thomas. Parker Benton White. Faye Uduba. Robert Wilson. Colleen Patricia Woodruff. C.C. Wu. Louis Wu. Annie Truong. Mitchell Lee Woodruff. Matthew Craig West. Qinya Zhao. Orni Zaman. Takumi Watanabe. Alan Joe Thomas. Van Vicente. Jessica Renee Womack. Helen Xianru Zhang. Adam Andreas Valerus. Sobori Ganesh Viswanathan. Kevin Joseph Tinsley. Lauren Tellis. Veronica Valencia Victoria. Sung-Yi Jocelyn Wong. Ainsley Vanda Creek. Molly Weinstock. Jianling Drew. Olivia Catherine Zvara.
Okay, I now officially pronounce you graduates. So I'm going to ask all the family and friends to please remain in your seats until we've left the stage and the students have left the floor. After that, we all will convene back in the Fox Center to continue this wonderful celebration. Before that happens, I now want to speak to this group for the first time as alumni. And so if you could all please rise. So, no, I'm not going to ask you for money right now. That will come, I promise you. So a couple things. First, every time I've had a graduating class, they try to pull me aside and say, what is it about us that makes us special? And it used to be that I took that seriously and would say, well, you did this, you did that, you did the other. And they say, yeah, but are we your favorite class ever? Are we the best you've ever had? And so I learned that's what the question really is about. And so in this instance, I can emphatically tell you that we have saved the very best for last year. You are the best ever. And so congratulations for earning that designation. Now, I hope you don't feel bad next year when the new dean tells that class they're the best class ever. But that will be one of one. Okay, so I do have some requests of you. 5 things. The first one is, this is your day, but this is your day only because of the people around you, in the stands, people who couldn't be here to join you. And it's really their day. And so what I ask of you is to show gratitude to the people who got you here. Thank them profusely, deeply, and frequently for all they've done to get you to where you are. So don't forget that. The second request is, please stay in touch with us. If you reflect on your journey as students, think about the number of times that an alum came back and talked to you, shared their wisdom, shared their insight, took your phone calls, opened a door for you, gave you advice in some way. Please stay in touch and give back to those people who will follow you to make this place better and better and better. The third thing, you don't need to clap for that one, no. The third one is one that was touched on in the student speeches, which is please stay in touch with each other. And you're probably thinking, oh, of all the things you're asking of us, that'll be the easiest. And it won't. Because what you'll find is, once you leave this place and you redistribute to all parts of the world, life will come at you fast and furious. And you'll say, I'll get in touch later this week. And then a week will go by and you'll say, well, I'll do it next week. And then a month will go by. And then you'll realize a year has gone by and you go, what happened to these incredible bonds, this friendship that we built through this deep connection that we have? And the message is very simple. This takes work. It won't just automatically happen that you retain these friendships over a lifetime. But here's the thing. You have been given an extraordinary gift. You have been given the gift of membership in Team Fuqua. And what that means is you've been given the gift of true friendship. Because if you ask Aristotle, if he was still around, what he said was true friendship can only happen with good people similar in virtue. And that's what you've given each other as members of Team Fuqua. Good people, similar in virtue. Take that gift and treasure it and enhance that gift that you give to each other over the course of your lifetime. The fourth thing is, I want to bring you back to when I welcomed you into the Fuqua community. And I'm pretty sure that none of you will remember what I told you. And luckily, there's no final test for graduation. You're there. But what I told you was I wanted you to pursue happiness. And I still want you to pursue happiness. Now, I think some of you, when you heard that, interpreted that to mean, yeah, let's go to Shooters. And of course, you know that's not what I meant. What I meant is happiness, true happiness. And true happiness only happens when you make full use of your talents along the lines of excellence. When you hold yourself accountable to being the very best version of yourself. And so I ask all of you to pursue happiness over the course of your lives. Final thing, and you know we will not finish this without mention of a couple things here, which is we saw something in all of you. We saw this triple threat capability. We saw that all of you had demonstrated the IQ, the EQ, and the DQ that bought you membership into the Fuqua community. Well, guess what? The price of admission into alumnihood and to keep in good standing as alumni is to uphold those same values of IQ, EQ, and DQ. So the last thing I will tell you is never, ever lose the decency that you need to achieve greatness. Thank you, congratulations, and let's go celebrate.